You know that casual glass of wine with dinner? Or maybe a couple of beers after work? It feels pretty harmless, right? But what actually happens if that daily habit keeps going for 6 straight months? So today, we're going to break down the step-by-step biological toll of what seems like moderate daily drinking.
So let's just dive right into the big question. Picture it. For the next 180 days, you have a drink every single day. It's a pretty wild thought experiment, right? But the thing is, it comes with some very, very real consequences for your body. And look, we're not talking about binge drinking here. We're talking about that really common, socially acceptable level of drinking. You know, that routine glass or two of wine to unwind, or grabbing a couple of beers with friends after a long day. This is that gray area where so many of us live. All right, let's start the clock. We're going to walk through what a 6-month timeline really looks like to see how this daily habit systematically changes your body, literally from the inside out. Okay, so take a look at this. The thing that's really striking here is just how fast these changes start to kick in. I mean, within the first few weeks, your liver, which is your body's main filter, starts accumulating fat. By month 2, liver enzymes are on the rise. And as we're about to see, by month 6, the effects have spread all the way to your cardiovascular system. Let's dig into what's actually happening at each of these stages. Let's focus on the liver first, because this is basically ground zero for alcohol's effects. And the numbers here, wow, they are just so stark. A full 71% of people who drink daily end up developing some form of liver disease. Now compare that to occasional drinkers, it's just 10%. The difference is, it's just undeniable. So by month 3, a lot of people start feeling this deep, chronic fatigue. And here's the crazy paradox. Many of us have a drink to relax, to help us fall asleep faster. And yeah, it kind of works at first. But what's really happening is that alcohol is just wrecking your sleep. It basically sabotages REM sleep, the most important restorative part of your night. And that's why you can get a full 8 hours and still wake up feeling like you haven't slept at all. Now let's talk about weight gain. You know, those 2 or 3 drinks a day, they're not just liquid, they're calories. We're talking about roughly 300 extra calories every single day. And look, 300 calories a day might not sound like a huge deal, but you gotta see how it stacks up. Over those 6 months, that little habit adds up to a staggering 54,000 extra calories that your body has had to deal with. So what does that actually mean? Well, if nothing else changes, your diet, your exercise, all of that, you're looking at a gain of about 15 pounds, a direct and really noticeable consequence, all from that one daily habit. And it's not just about the pounds on the scale. By the time you hit that 6-month mark, your heart is really starting to feel the pressure. Daily drinking consistently raises your blood pressure, which puts a strain on your arteries and your whole cardiovascular system. And over time, yeah, that seriously bumps up your long-term risk for heart disease. Okay, so we've talked about the body, but what is going on in the brain that keeps this whole cycle going? Well, it really all comes down to one crucial word: tolerance. Think of it this way. Tolerance is basically your brain trying to keep things on an even keel. See, alcohol is a depressant. When it's constantly in your system, your brain goes, whoa, everything's slowing down too much. So it starts pumping out its own stimulant signals to counteract it. And what does that mean for you? Well, it means those 2 drinks that used to feel like enough, they just don't hit the same way anymore. You need more to get that same feeling. And this is so important to get. Building a tolerance isn't a badge of honor. It's not about being able to handle your liquor. From a brain science perspective, it is literally the first step on the road to physical dependence. Your brain has actually rewired itself to expect that substance. All right, I know that all that sounds pretty grim, but, and this is a big but, here's the good news. The damage isn't always permanent, especially if you catch it early. Your body is incredibly resilient and has this amazing capacity to heal. Let's look at what that path to recovery looks like. Seriously, the healing starts the moment you stop. Within just a couple of weeks, you'll notice your sleep getting better, your energy coming back. And over the next few months, your liver, man, it's amazing. It starts to heal itself. Those fatty deposits shrink, and the enzyme levels start to head back towards normal. And that brings us to what might be the most important point of all of this. It's about changing the way we think about the whole struggle of trying to cut back on drinking. Let's be real for a second. Have you ever been here? You promise yourself, okay, that's it, this is the last one. And you mean it with every fiber of your being. But then, A few days go by, maybe a week, and you're right back in that same old pattern. It's just so frustrating. And the first thing we do is blame ourselves, right? We think, I'm just weak, or I have no willpower. But what if that's not the story at all? What if we're looking at this from the completely wrong angle? You didn't fail because you're weak.
Here's the idea. You didn't slip back because of some moral failing. You slipped back because you were unknowingly fighting a biological battle. You were up against a substance that had physically rewired your brain's reward system, disrupted your nervous system, and altered your emotional regulation, all without a clear understanding of the science at play. So, we'll leave you with this question to think about. If this whole frustrating cycle isn't really about a lack of willpower, but a simple lack of understanding, then maybe knowledge is the real key. Maybe truly grasping what alcohol actually does to your body and brain is the real first step toward making a lasting change. Something powerful to think about.